Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to episode 7 of the My Career in Tech web series. I'm your host, Oluwademilade Abiru. For those of you who are new to our channel, this series connects our 3MTT talents with experienced tech professionals. Today, we are joined by Aniedi Udo Obong, who is a program manager and software developer in Google. We're also joined by Sani Yusuf, who is the founder of Hybrid and creator of Belt Stripe. And our moderator for today is none other than Blessing Emma, a blockchain ecosystem builder. Today, we will cover standing out in the highly competitive tech job market. We'd like you, our esteemed guest speakers, to address the worries surrounding the competitiveness of the job market and the challenge of securing a desirable position, especially with limited experience. And with no further ado, I would like to hand over the mic to our moderator for today, Blessing Emma. Blessing, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dami. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a good day. So today's topic is very interesting. We're going to be talking about standing out in the tech market. And yes, the market is hard. Like getting jobs are very hard. So we'll be talking to two ecosystem builders, two, let's just say, tech leaders. And they'll be sharing their experiences, giving you guys advice and talking about it. So I have with me Sani and Aniedi will be joining in very soon. So as usual, if you have your questions, just drop them in the chat sessions and we'll answer them towards the end of the event. So Sani, how are you doing?
Hello, Blessing. Hello, Demi. How are you? I'm doing very great.
That's really, really good. So first things first is that you have to introduce yourself. You have to tell our audience who you are.
Oh, okay. All right. My name is Sani Yusuf. Depends who's asking, but you could just call me a tech pro. I think I like that title, but I like to learn. I like to meet people, and technology just happens to be a way that I've used that to reach people and create amazing things, and also facilitate my thirst for learning and growing.
All right, that's really, really nice, Sani. So, Sani, I want to hear about your tech journey. I did my own research, but our audience don't know much about you. They can go and do their own research, but tell us about your own journey into tech.
How far back do you want me to go?
Let's not skip 10 years, just let's use 10 years gap.
All right. So, I feel like I've lived a lot of lives in tech. It's really more all the way from me leaving university over 10 years ago and starting, a company called Hybrid, which is my consultancy. And, working at a company where there was like maybe 10 of us in a room and everybody was angry. We're not making money to today. So it's really just looking at what skills I have, looking at what I can learn, looking at what trends are happening, trying to make sure that you're positioning yourself with the trends and learning from them and from people and building communities around that. And yeah, flourishing with the benefits that come with it.
That's very different from what everyone will say. Your journey is like, that's not even good. That's not like giving us, I was a developer for this period, then I started this. You basically went into building your own stuff. It wasn't like you're trying to get a job or something like that. That's totally different. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Everybody works for someone, even if you're on your own, right? At the end of the day, the customer can fire everybody. Might not pay their money.
True. Hi, Aniedi, welcome. Okay, Aniedi.
I think Aniedi just needs.
Give me a second. Let me just get my setup together.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. Totally, it's fine. So, Sani, we're talking about like the job market now. Your journey has been very interesting. You have built about 3 startups now. I saw Iconic, I saw Hybrid, and now you have Stripe. So, like, I want to ask that you have done so many different things. Like you said, you have lived different lives. What made you stand out in each life that you have lived in terms of soft skills or anything?
I would say, the first thing I would say is always to learn around your interest. If you're interested in something, right, you have a firm interest in it, that's natural. Your interest is very organic. And if you're able to learn around that interest and then, find a way to monetize that, that's pretty good. I mean, if your interest is like playing drums, I mean, there's but the idea is, I always say, one thing I always tell people that I mentor sometimes is what I call be an I developer as quick as possible. What does that mean? Is specialize as quickly as possible. Find something you're really good at, specialize. There'll be 1,001 things that are new in tech, but get really, really, really great. And then you become an I developer, then you become a T developer, and eventually you become an N developer, which is you have depth in one thing, then you have breadth in a lot of things, then you have another depth. So it's easy to get from the top of one building to the top of another building, then from the bottom to the top, or vice versa. So get to the top of one field, really get great at it, get recognized, do as much as you can. Then you can pivot to something new, but you are never going to start from the bottom of that because you would have a lot of transferable skills. That's how, I guess, I generally have lived my life and the advice I've given people.
I think that really, really works a lot. And most people will find that applicable because of, like, when they start out, they have so many interests and they don't know what to start with. Most people try to just do every single thing and then try to pick one. But I think I like your own mental model of how things should work. So thank you for that. Before we move on to Aniedi. Hi, Aniedi.
Hi, Blessing. Hi, Demi. Hi, Sunny.
Good to
Hi, everyone on the call.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see you too.
So, Aniedi, please, can you give us like a brief intro of yourself?
Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Aniedi. I currently work as a program manager at Google. I've been at Google for almost 80 years, and 6.5 of those years were based out of the Nigeria office. And then I joined the jackpot wheel, so to speak, about 1.5 years ago, and currently spend time doing a similar thing, building developer communities, but with a focus on the US and Canada for now. And generally, I'll just say I'm a community person by nature, and that's me.
Okay, that's Aniedi actually. Community developers and also Google. Google Aniedi. You're mentioning Google as if it's just one small company, and it's not. So Aniedi, that's really, really big. So my question to you, Aniedi, would be that you have been in tech for so long. What keeps you going? What keeps you going? And also in terms of development, things are changing, trends are changing. What keeps you going?
I think one is a very interesting field overall. Like, things are changing every time, right? So if you're someone who's a bit restless or who's interested in technology, then you can't sit back. It's not a set and forget kind of thing. Like, just build a house and leave it there, and that's your legacy. You have to keep renewing your knowledge, and if you don't renew your knowledge, then you're going to become obsolete. Two things I would say. One is that there will always be first principles, like the baseline, the things you need to know. Some things are not going to change. It will always be about data, algorithms, presentation of this data and visualization. That's really what tech enables in every industry, whether it's medical, whether it's agri, whether it's that kind of stuff. So there's that one. And I think the second aspect is there will always be a flavor of the month, right? So whether it's big data or cloud or Web3 or blockchain or AI or now large language models, there will always be all those things. The most important thing I would suggest is that you don't get left behind. So try to stay current with all those things that are going on. You don't have to jump on every trend, but at least understand the basics of what is this thing about? Why is there such a big deal about it? What's the hype really all about? Is it hype or is it true? So staying in touch with the first principles and also just keeping the balls on what's going on, because it could change your career, it could change your life, it could open a brand new opportunity for you. So being in touch with the flavor of the month, I would say those are the two things that I try to boil down my career to.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So this question is for both of you. We're talking about like standing out in the market as for all our developers and our audience. They have begun their tech journey, they are learning, and they want to basically build a personal brand. Both of you are like brands on your own. basically leaders, tech leaders in the space, how do you advise people who are trying to build a personal brand and also in developing their own skill? Like, how do they maintain that and stand out? Who wants to go first?
Oh, my boss goes first. I always go after.
You get money past my papa, or you're my boss. So, wow. I mean, I'll put a little bit of just spirituality here, where people say you do your best and let God do the rest, right? So the first thing is that you have to hit your best, right? You can't lie to anyone what that's your limit or what your comfort zone is. Like if you're not doing enough or more than enough, now you go no. You can tell yourself, like, you can say, oh, I've tried very hard, I slept overnight, I walked, but no matter how I won't want to use the word lie. No matter how you package yourself to people, you can't package yourself to yourself. Like, so the first thing to do is I would say is just, to do as much as you can, put in as much effort, seek as much guidance and opinion as you can to make sure you've played your part. And then the second part I then think would be when you've done all that. I mean, I stumbled in on Sunny talking about just like modeling your career. I think you said ITM and stuff like that. At some point, you've got to specialize, right? You've got to deepen your skill set, and it's tough because then you have to choose a path. Oh, should I go back end or front end? Should I do cybersecurity or should I do web or should I do blockchain? The couple of choices you have to make, and it's not an exact science. Like you really some let me ask, did I go to University of Community Management or did I get a first degree in developer advocacy? Like, some of those things don't exist. It's almost like you place a bet on some aspect and you do it as well as you can. And then the way I've coined this before is sometimes you have to let your career choose you. You know who you are, you know how much technical ability you can acquire, and then the rest is whatever you call it, luck, fate, chance, God doing for me, Baba God, whatever comes up at the end. But it's I think there's a saying that says I think opportunity favors either the prepared or things like that. But you just got to set yourself up so that if you get a strong opportunity or you get a chance, you can take it. So I think for me, standing out will be, first of all, having that personal conversation with yourself, like, have I really done all I can do with all the resources I have, whether it's community, whether it's books, whether it's whatever you have I done my best? And then if I've done my best, then can I really hope that something else will help me do the rest? So I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much for that, Aniedi. Sunny, do you want to take off from there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only going to echo most of what Aniedi has said. The first thing I always tell people is really know what it is you want, right? Because a lot of times people think they know this, but when you sit and ask, what do I really want? A lot of people are scared of that question. And that's okay, not knowing what you want. And that's why I kind of agree with sometimes letting the career choose you, what Aniedi just said. But the reality is, I see a lot of people do it wrong today, where they're trying to build the clouds around, and then hopefully get value. See, the thing with value is you should chase value. And the only way you can become valuable is by service. By serving. Service is the only way, right? And you might have to serve yourself. You might have to serve the greater good, but serving yourself is the greater good. So I'll give you an example. It's really okay. What am I learning? Okay, I want to learn how to do, I don't know, JavaScript. I'm going to learn JavaScript. I'm going to really get great at JavaScript. But also, how can I ensure that other people can take advantage of me as a human being learning JavaScript and then spreading that out? That might lead you to building communities. That might lead you to being part of a community, because a lot of people think it's like, oh, hey, hi, I'm this JavaScript person. Someone like myself, I never sought out to build a brand. My website, I don't even know what it looks like, because people can still get in touch with me, even though most people don't even know like what it is I actually do, because it's like I'm just focused on the one thing I know, which is the only thing you do know for a fact, is you know nothing. So
Yeah.
every day I wake up is I know nothing, and how can I know less of nothing? And on that journey, over time, if you do it long enough and hard enough, people would recognize and they would want to be part of it, and you will galvanize and you reach for greatness.
Yeah, I really, really like that in terms of service. Like everyone wants to stand out, and Twitter can be a very, very noisy place, and everyone is just trying to post about their, especially LinkedIn, their accomplishments here and there. But the best way to do that, like you said, is by serving. That means join a community, basically be a volunteer, and just keep contributing code. And right now we're in the era of open source. People are aware of open source, and in terms of, oh, I feel like people have to like get down and do the work more to be able to stand out in the space. So service is a very big part of that. Thank you very much, Sunny.
Yeah.
This
Let me add something to that. And this is a very delicate conversation, right? I know that with me and Sanya on the call, sooner or later we'll get to some delicate or controversial things. Sunny said it right. Know what you want. And bro, sis, brother, sister, if it's money you want, be very clear about it. Like, it's okay to clearly look and say, this is a high paying industry. Where do I fit? Right? The challenge is probably not understanding the industry in totality. There are code roles, no code roles, there are core technical roles, there are roles that are not pure tech. There is legal in tech, there is sales. First of all, if you're a salesperson, you will always have what to eat. Like once you can sell markets, whether you're selling your own skills or you're selling somebody else's skills, you always have what to eat. So if you woke up in the morning or you came to a realization after maybe 10 years in a particular industry and like my take-home pay can't take me home, my dad used to be a lecturer, that was the sticker on his car. And you're deciding that I want to operate in a more lucrative industry, it's okay to chase, the money. Now, to make that journey, you probably need that self-introspection. What can I really do? What skills do I have? And then when you start looking at the tech industry, if you look at the entire scope, you probably may start finding that UI is not the same as back end, and data science is not the same as front end, and business analysis or whatever. There are differences, and then you start finding your own niche. Then you start probably looking for people who have sort of like treaded that path you want to go. And I know everyone always says, I want a mentor, but like it's not very feasible. The mentor relationship self is even more hectic for the mentor. Something as simple as following this person on Twitter, and then even just like, you don't have to follow 1,000 people on Twitter and get involved in every conversation. You can, because of the focus you have, you can curate like, oh, I want to follow Elon Musk and this other person and this other person and that other person. You can curate that list, and that almost becomes like your role model. So it's like you're getting some kind of mentoring, even if the person doesn't know you. And I kind of talk about this a lot, a number of times. And then just try and follow that path. The problem you may then encounter with a couple of people is they keep jumping from one to the other. Just to summarize, if you're going to chase a genuine reason, yourself, you're the first child or whatever, or you're trying to help secure the bag for yourself or your family, it's okay. But when you get into tech, really explore all the areas of tech and try as much as possible. Maybe get to know the basics. I would always suggest everyone understands the web, the internet, whether you're building apps or you're doing data science or machine learning, you kind of like need to understand what is this whole web thing, websites, browse, app, know those basics, and then go on and then specialize. So, and then when you do that, don't be jumping from one to the other, because if you do something 20% or 30%, you don't get enough information about whether that thing is profitable or makes sense or not. Try and sort of like finish up. So if you start something, finish it, just finish it and then figure out, okay, does this make sense? Okay, that's a great learning experience. I can move on to something else. So I think, to me, it's okay to look at the industry right now and say, wow, this is where things are heading. I'm going to try and get into tech, because you hear that a lot. And I think a number of people on this program want to get into tech, right? That's fine. Then once you do that, try and see, where can you find the information that makes sure that you find your place in tech, not another person's place in tech.
Yes, I love that so much. Like you said, know your reason why. Most people, like, it feels bad that you be like, I want to enter tech because of money. It feels like, oh my God, I just here for the money. But that's actually a lot of people reason why they are in tech. And it's something that, oh, if I want to be in tech and it's for the money, what skill can I learn? And what's like maybe the pay range? And is that what I'm okay with? Is that what I need? And it's not like it's about, okay, where can I learn and how many months will it take, and focus on that. So I feel like people just need to accept that, okay, this is the reason why, or know their why. So their why will direct basically wherever they are going to a lot. So thank you so much for that, Aniedi. Now, this second question is like the opposite of what I asked you. So what are people doing wrong? Like in terms of standing out? They want to stand out in the space, but what are they doing wrong? Honey. Honey, you've been quiet.
No, that there's a hierarchy that I always like to respect.
Okay, please help
Yes.
us.
So I would always let my boss go first.
I yield the mic.
Yeah.
All right.
Sunny, he has been talking. Let's please
All
help
right.
us.
All right. Let me come in here. So, and I thought I was not going to get in trouble in December. Well, it is what it is. Someone's got to do it. I mean, so the first thing I see today is, again, we live in a very, how do I say, instant generation, right? Everybody wants the benefits of the things without the actual backbone driving it. And this is because sometimes it's hard to blame, because it is a very performative generation. People do get very far by being performative. And I'm not naming names or anything, but the thing is, no one has ever been able to leave a legacy by being performative. You cannot mention one person in history that was performative. The only legacy they built was one of being a performative person, right? No one. You can hack your way up until the point, and every industry, every company you go, you see people that were very performative. They had a shot rocket, but eventually, every mechanic must be judged by the way he's able to use a spanner.
Yeah.
And you cannot hack that. So from the way you hold the spanner, from you see. So what I see a lot of people do is try to get the clout and the image of success without the work required. I'll see people with LinkedIn's of 1 year experience, but they are CTOs, they're founders at the same time. They have exited companies, they're angel investors. They're these multitude of things, and they've marketed that success. They've created courses, and they've never built nothing, right? Because people today, a lot of people, unfortunately, especially when you platforms like Twitter, it is what you're able to convince people that you are that's more important, not what you really are. And that's a very dangerous place, because you will get some benefits short term, but long term, what is the most important thing in life is the conversations people have about your value when you're not in the room. And I promise you, people that are performative, nobody talks about them in the room when they're not there. And if they do, it's never really about the value they bring. It is about the fact that they are performative. So they get found out sooner or later. So I would say, don't focus on getting the clout. You want to get the followers, or you want to be the found. No. Apply yourself really, as you don't know nothing. Like, no one's hired you. Okay, you know JavaScript. Well, why hasn't, if you are this great badass JavaScript developer, why hasn't nobody hired you, right? And maybe you are badass, but the proof should be in the pudding, right? And that's what you should focus on versus and I think I see a lot of people with social media trying to get it wrong, trying to claim things that are not. Eventually you will get found out. I promise you. Stay away from that.
Thank you so much for that. That was really, really deep. What you said reminds me of one article by this, I'm not sure, Unicode developer, that he mentioned that who is speaking on your behalf. It's not basically, you're not in the room, but who is actually in the room that is speaking on your behalf. And like you said, it's through your service, through your work, that will basically get you mentioned there. Thank you so much, Sunny, for that. Aniedi, time for you to drop some deep stuff also. Give us something deep.
Yeah. So I think Sadi has captured it very well. But the summary is that it's a long journey. Like, don't let anyone deceive you. You know, there's something I say, and then I don't think it's even original from me. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, it's going to be a very long journey, right? The good thing about this journey or this field is that you could get started. It's not like medicine or law or accountant where you have to be chartered, and so you have to do like 7 years or 10 years before you derive maybe your first benefit or your first role or your first earning. You could actually start, pick up a course today, run through it in one day, and all of a sudden you're more useful. You could be someone's virtual assistant or social media manager, or you could get an internship. So but then that internship that you're getting after 6 months or 1 year, that's just what it is. It's your first job, it's your internship. That's not the one that will give you six-figure salary or start earning in dollars or making money remotely. It's going to be a journey, right? So if you're jumping onto this, first of all, tech bandwagon, or you're being introduced, you need to come with the right mindset. It's going to be a long, deep journey, and it's going to have lots of frustrations, and you're going to have to just like weather through the whole entire journey. If you think you can fake it till you make it, at some point they will figure you out. Exactly what Sunny said, being performative. You won't go far. You get somewhere, you won't go far. Unless you start doing and then you switch to the correct attitude. But if you want to go on with that kind of they'll figure you out. So it's going to be a long journey, right? And then one other thing that I've sort of like distilled into another nugget is like, you what you did to get you to where you are is not enough to take you to the next level, right? So if you start getting into something and then all of a sudden people, it's very simple. You can't use common entrance and look for admission in university. You understand? That common entrance will get you to secondary school, and then you're in secondary school or you're in high school or whatever, and you're at that level. It's fine. But like, if you want to go to another level, like, you can't be depending on what you did or what you said or the claims you made. So like, at every level, you're going to have to do some level of growth, and you're going to have to change, make some changes to one, your technical ability and even your soft skills. Like, if I look at where I am today and I ask myself, how do I get to the next level? I can make a checklist of things I need to fix and areas I need to grow. And then until I make those moves, I'll be deceiving myself if I can think that the tide or current that brought me here will take me to the next level. So I think that's one thing people should know. It's going to be quite a long journey. It is lucrative. You can start getting benefits early in the journey. It's not like you have to be called to the bar before you make your first buck or something, or you have to become a chartered accountant, or you have to do residency. There's a bit of opportunity in the industry to start, go really far, but you have to be real. And then I think something that Sonny said earlier on, which I want to just come back to, is question of value. Now, when you think of value, whether you're being hired by a company, by a manager, or by a startup, the value is, put yourself in the shoes of the person paying you the money, right? Who's going to be, funding your salary or whatever.
Mhm.
You have to be someone who solves problems. Like, they'll tell you a manager's job is to hire people so that he doesn't have any work to do. So why would I, if you just come with a
Bare minimum.
certificate or just a skill, it's not enough. There's still some element things, maybe to be able to solve a problem, able to take a tough decision when things are, not easy, and then you don't have all the information. Be able to really, add constructively to a meeting where we're trying to figure out something. You may make an assumption that everybody knows or the solution or knows what they're doing. It's not so. Even the highest paid person in the room may be blank. So when it comes to brainstorming, taking notes, thinking of alternatives, I think they call this thing being an intrapreneur. So even when you are in a job, you're thinking like an entrepreneur, you're thinking like the owner of the business. That value, bringing value to the company or the team, and then just being someone that can be depended upon, I think is so important. And sometimes as people are getting technical skills, they forget those aspects. But I know this is really more about technical skills, but overall, we want people to be useful where they are going. So people should really think of those fundamentals: being useful, and bringing value to whoever they are interacting with, whether it's their boss, their company, or their client.
Thank you so much for that, Aniedi. Even I am taking notes. I'm also learning. I'm not just a moderator, I'm also learning here. So I'm actually learning a lot. So my own takeaway is that your new level requires a new you. You can't keep going to your new level with your old self. It's not going to work. If it requires new skills or maybe new hard skills, new soft skills, just look at where you want to go to and learn the skills that are there. So Aniedi, thank you so much for that. So my next question is that there's some people that they have done different things, or they are a period in their life whereby they're still trying to figure out things. So my own question to everybody is that how do you advise them to navigate their career in terms of transitioning, in terms of picking maybe the longitude in one space to another one?
Yeah, I could start with this one. I think so there's always noise. There's always noise, but I think now it's noisier than ever. All right. Yeah. But I always say it's a paradox, right? The what makes you successful, especially in the tech industry, is one set of values. It is the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Can't get very far if you don't have these three sets of values. You know, there are things that you're going to know that, like Aniedi said, they're not going to be needed. The things that you don't know that are going to be needed. The things that you used to know that you got to now reapply. And you have to be very, you know, like Bruce Lee would say, be like water. But the thing is, that doesn't really answer the question in terms of like, you know, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a young lady or young man coming into the tech industry, and this person talking about DevOps, this person is talking about backend, front end, UI, UX, and you know, the first thing I'll tell you, half of the people using these buzzwords absolutely don't know anything. All right, that's their way of sounding pretty smart, like they are in the know. But you get down, you spend 5 minutes with them, literally, you know, they don't really. So but also don't compare your journey to another person's journey. You can take inspiration, but don't be like, well, this is what this person is telling me to do. The first thing I always tell people is, like we said, know what you want. And that's hard. Most people don't. Because money you want, you're doing it for the money. Okay, find the highest pay. Like, know what your trade-offs are going to be. Some people want balance. I'll give you an example. My sister got into tech because she just had a third child, and you know, for her, balance was more important at the time. And she actually works for one of my companies, and she's doing fantastically well. But before she did that, there was a two-year period. Well, I knew that was going to happen, so I was kind of invested in her. But there's a 2-year period where she was learning specific skill set, going to specific courses. So the first thing I will always say is learn or figure out what it is that is important to you. Now, the second thing is plan around your interest. What are you interested in? Right? So it's one of the first two. Some people, sometimes your interest might not be what you want. Let's say if you want to do it for money, but you're not interested, that will trump. Figure out what's important to you, then upskill. Don't assume that you're going to come guns in blazing. You're the Einstein. You're the special person. You build this back end in 2 days. There's nothing you've thought about that is new under the sun. It's very rare. Somebody else thought about it. So upskill yourself. Upskill. Where can I learn about this? And then try and specialize as much as possible, as quick amount of time. Where can I learn? But please, no matter what it is you're doing, when you're starting the only thing you should be worried about is the foundations of that thing. I've taught for a long time. I've never taught any advanced courses. I've never spoken of any advanced topics, because the person that is an expert is just someone that understands the basics at a high level. The reason why Messi and Ronaldo are great is the basics of football, the shooting, the passing. They understand it at a high level. The nice stuff, you do it once in a while. So that's what you need to do. Get to grip with your basics, really go in there. And over time, just bide your time. Everything takes time. You know, you do great.
Thank you so much, Tony. No matter why you're a public speaker. Aniedi, what about you?
What about me? What? I forgot. What was the question?
how like advice for people that are trying to navigate their career in terms of transitioning year and year, trying to
Yeah, I think there's a word Sunny used that I really like. It's trade off, right? So when you I know people who want to rush and work in maybe big tech or high paying job, and sometimes you go even on that job and realize that okay, the scope of your impact is not that much, and you're just assigned to one small aspect of one small product. And yes, you're in this big tech company. I mean, even right here sitting at Google, I feel that experience sometimes. We're like, yeah, there's all these fantastic things going on, but am I really part and parcel of, say, Gemini or any of these new things that are being launched? The question then becomes, would I want to leave this and go and work for a small startup that is working on maybe a specific AI or some other thing, and then I can get my hands a little bit dirtier, right? You hear people taking pay cuts to get their hands involved in either a startup or to get involved in entrepreneurship or to get a founder experience, whatever it is. So the thing is, there's going to be give and take, basic economics, what's it called, scale of preference or opportunity cost. You have to figure that out for yourself. Like, if I'm doing this for this reason, then I'm going to let go of this, or this is not going to come naturally. Um, if you want to also add something to this, I would say contentment, and with contentment, I would also add a little bit around patience. We've said this earlier on, it's going to take a while. It's not magic. Like, if you come in, okay, I was best graduating student in this course, I smashed this boot camp, I did so well in this technical training program. The first day you land in the company, the first thing they will ask you is change the color of your button. or or check this API for errors. Like, no one's going to just throw you in the deep end and give you the big project, or I mean, these are production systems, right? Like, so it will take time for you to. So even when you find yourself in a new role or new job, you know, give it some time. I'm not saying slow down or slack or just begin to fool around, but like, give it some time. A lot of us rush into a number of things, and these are personal mistakes even I have made, where you come in and your desire to prove that you're smart or that you can get stuff done, actually becomes a negative to you, because you don't take enough time to listen to how things are being done, what the OGs in the system are saying, the mistakes you should avoid. So give it some time, right? I think the other thing would be that, and this comment has to do with probably the schooling system, partly in Nigeria. We find it difficult to ask questions. Like, when you ask a question, it feels as if you're stupid, right? In in many environments, and I'll put a disclaimer, there's nothing like a stupid question. Like, you need to ask questions. The thing about asking questions is try to ask intelligent questions and try not to ask lazy questions. Don't come to a team and say, so what is cloud or what is DevOps? You should have Googled that, right? It's even easier now that you have ChatGPT and you have Bard and you have all these tools. Find out what those basics are, which is the same basics we're talking about. And then you now ask and say, okay, are we using DevOps in this team? Or do we have a DevOps person? Or what's continuous integration? It's like, so people now come and like, okay, yeah. So we don't really use CI/CD here. What we use is we use GitHub Action. So the thing is, it's been already set up. You can figure out how, you can read how we set it up. But anything you do, once this pull request is accepted, it goes straight to our production testing system. And that's basically how we do our own, continuous delivery or whatever. But ask questions. But please don't ask silly questions. Like, Google it, Wikipedia it, try and watch a 30-second, 2 minute YouTube video about what is quantum computing or what is LLM. You can't come to a job role today and they're like, we're exploring LLMs, and then you raise up your hand and say, what is LLM? That's not a good question. First of all, you should have been aware of what LLMs are because of just how much information is being discussed about them right now. And secondly, that's not your last meeting at the company. That's the note you should take down and say, this buzzword or this acronym came up 3 or 4 times. Let me Google it. Let me go and read a Wikipedia article about it. Let me watch the shortest YouTube video about what is an LLM and everything. So you have to have that level of sort of like curiosity, but also be able to ask questions and ask intelligent questions. I know when I started, I talked about contentment and patience. I will go back there. You also need to be content. Like, you can't have everything, right? And you can't be Satya Nadella or Sundar or Elon Musk or Sam Altman on day one, right? Some things will take time. Some things will actually take time. To be content with where you are, your level, what you've learned, what you know so far in this journey, then from there you can progress to the next level. Let's see, you're muted.
Apologies for that. Sorry about that, guys. So Aniedi, thank you so much for that. So my next question. So guys, if you have any question, please drop it in the chat session so that we can ask our speakers and they can answer it for you. So my next question is that both of you act in managerial and leadership roles. Now, what are the things that makes people stand out for you to hire them? Maybe some qualities you could talk about in terms of technical and hard and soft skills.
I mean, I don't have as much experience as Aniedi, so mine is probably going to be very short here. But I think there's a trait, and I didn't coin this term. I learned it from Simon Sinek. He's the author of a book called Start with the Why. Yes. Yeah. Good book. So he had a talk away. There's a trait he calls trustworthiness. And he says single biggest predictor of how well somebody would do generally in terms of like if in a job, especially if they're going to be in a leadership position. What is trustworthiness? Is like your ability to, first of all, for you first to trust yourself and other people to be like, okay, yes, this person will show up. If he says he's going to do this, he or she says that, they're going to do it. He says she'll deliver by this time, it will be done. Right? If she says she cannot do it, it is because she generally believes she cannot do it, and she'll give you a reason why. So that person always does better than the person that is extremely skillful and technically sound, but has no trustworthiness. Because I think trustworthiness has kindness, it has empathy, it has a lot of things. So trustworthiness is the most important thing to me, right? In terms of like, I've hired all the different the ones that I'm asking them questions and I can see them Googling it, or the ones that are giving me the Google answer, or the ones that, it's very simple. People are so busy looking for the red flags in people, but they miss the yellow flags. The traffic light has a yellow light before the red. The yellow is like slow down. And a lot of times when we're hiring people, we want to look for the thing that would disqualify them, not the trait. The traits are more important. So trustworthiness, anything that is anti-trustworthy, it's automatically, for me, it doesn't matter how skilled the person is. Secondly, especially if it's in a technical role, it is, I don't ask extreme questions. I don't ask like, come and balance a binary tree. I've never done that. All my interviews for technical roles have been about basics. If you can show me that you have strong aptitude for the basics, then now I can trust that when the hard things come, you'd find your way to combine and ask the necessary questions to create a solution for it. Because those things come once in a while, but the basics is what you deal with every day, So for me, that's really important. And I think the third thing is accountability, right? My managerial style is it's a mixed bag, but it's like sort of laissez-faire, but it's huge on accountability, right? I would literally get certain things wrong, and I'll tell the people that I work with, I miscommunicated this with you, because I have to set an example to them that, I'm not beyond reproach. We all are playing the same rule. So accountability is another thing, is really what's that person's ability when you ask certain questions about how their ability to say, oh, you know what? Maybe I don't know this, or maybe this could have been better, versus where they shift away from responsibility, because accountability and responsibility go hand in hand. When I see people that are willing to take responsibility, or if they don't want to be responsible for something, they will make it very clear that, this is someone else they would prefer. That is still taking accountability that, okay, there's something to be done there. I think these three rules generally, most times, like I say, if you look at these things are not really technical things. They're mostly human things, because you're dealing with humans. The technical skills can be learned, but you can have somebody that's completely unkind, unaccountable, and it's extremely great, but they'll be giving you code that is like 2 days late. Well, maybe once in a while when your company's on fire, they'll come and save the day. It's like football. I'd rather the person that will give you 7 over 10, 38 games than Balotelli that will give you 10 over 10 in 10 and go missing for like half the season. Yes.
Why did you do that? People can come for you because of that. Uh-uh. Thank you so much for that, Sonny. So trustworthiness, that means saying something and doing it. Know your basics. That's the foundation of whatever skill you are learning. Accountability and responsibility. So that's what Sonny said. Thank you so much. Aniedi, what about you?
Yeah, I think you said it all. Same message, different words. Like someone you can depend on. Like life comes at you from different aspects. Like the reality of a job is like it's part of life, right? And so when you need something done, if there's someone that has that character, that trait of getting things done, dependable and on time, you want to work with that person. I think the second aspect, and this is very, I'm going to cover myself on this one, is I was reading a post from, I can't remember who it was, but it was a Twitter post, and the person was an ex-Paystack staff, and said they've taken some culture from Paystack where they were in a, and I think now he or she's running their own company, and the question they said whether Shala used to ask them was, how do you turn up late for a virtual meeting? Like how? Like how do you do that? Like how do you turn up late for a virtual meeting? And I turned up late for this one, but I think it was like 1 minute, and I was setting up my system. Those very small things, like in every team, you're always going to need someone who can take notes. I mean, AI is all this AI, Fireflies on AI are coming in. But even when you take those notes, someone has to read and review those notes and talk about the action items. If you take those notes and you keep them in some document, they're not useful to the company. Turning up on time, punctuality, dedication, getting stuff done, finishing stuff, you need those soft skills. And if you can demonstrate those skills to a team or into an interview, I'm telling you, go very far at the company. Like a lot of people just still struggle to be punctual, be on time, be dependable, do their part, ask for updates, and push the job forward. That's number one. Now, number two, and I hope this hasn't flown away from my head. So in sort of like being that kind of person, I think it's also very important that, yeah, I think I've lost my train of thought, but it'll come back. It's also very important that when you are on a team and people, like what Tony said about trustworthiness, people depend on you, you can be accountable. Like that's what he said. Hey, I don't know this. I'm capable of doing this. I'm not capable of doing that. Those skills are really, really, really very important. And I think as a hiring manager or someone who's hiring people, okay, now I now remember. Let's go into a little bit of interview because it has to do with people after this program. How do you get a job and what do you get next? People come with the CV template, or what they feel is the perfect CV, and what they feel is the perfect response to an interview question. You need to be able to display these characteristics in an interview or in a conversation with someone who's hiring you. And trust me, sometimes the way you display these skills is not necessarily in tech, because sometimes they're not tech skills. Were you the president of your SUG? Were you a fellowship leader? Did you lead some dispute resolution? Did you do some volunteering work for the Red Cross or for Yali or for the Obama Foundation? You can, if you find yourself in an interview situation, you cannot tell me I'm detail-oriented, I'm punctual, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. No, that I can't believe that. People put that at the top of their CV as their objective. I'm passionate, I can work under pressure, I can do that. Please, in as much as you have those skills or you're trying to package those skills, look for scenarios from your football team to your choir to any other thing you can say or do that actually reflects that you are this kind of person or you have this sort of a discipline, whether it was some, parliamentary engagement, whether you are into martial arts, please find a way to demonstrate to whoever is trying to hire you or consider you for a role that you have these skills, not just writing them down that I am detail oriented, I'm punctual, I'm this, I'm that. Look for very clear examples. Oh, we were doing this. Bad example. My spouse or my partner, my husband was still doing his makeup and we were late for the wedding. So I left him behind and I went and I said, take Uber and come and beat me. Or I decided to take Uber and I left the car behind so that if you like, come 5 minutes late, I must be there at 8 a.m. That is the kind of person I am. I'll look at you and I'm like, now wow, this one will just leave my wife house, cause they go the wedding. But ultimately, you've got to show me that when push comes to shove, or when the bug, like when there's a tough decision to be made, you can make a tough decision, right? Yeah, I was dating this person and then she was doing her makeup, so I now left and I went for my brother's wedding because I didn't want to be late. I will hire you, not because I have anything against women or makeup, but because when it's time to make a tough decision where your core values are being questioned, punctuality, dedication to work, I think you made the right decision. I don't know. You can go and solve your emotional drama after you come back or during the wedding. But if you wanted to be there at 8, or you wanted to make sure the program started at 10, and the guest speaker wasn't there, and you started at 10, there's something in you that might make me want to hire you. And I think you have to demonstrate it more than just say it or write it on your CV. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Aniedi. So, guys, have you heard? Basically, find scenarios or experiences to showcase your skill or the skill that you're talking about, the skill that you're amplifying. If you're talking about how you're punctual, you have to give a scenario of how probably you got to an event early, despite people not being there for probably 2 hours. That's what happened a lot in Lagos events. They'll say they'll start by 9. They never start by 9. It's by 11 o'clock. Things like that, it happens. So I feel like when people now peg you as someone that he's always punctual, that's a good quality to have. So we'll be wrapping up very soon, and we have a question for our audience. Someone asked that I need guidance on how to become successful in tech despite not studying it in university. What do I do? One person can answer it, another person will answer another question. Yeah. So who wants to go first?
I'll go. Man. Time for the blunt answer. The only guidance is you just work hard. Nothing that your parents will be telling you dedication, hard work, and I think at this stage, if you've committed to say you want to succeed in tech, start working twice as hard, start doing double the work. You are coming in quote, you think you're coming from a disadvantage. And even though it's not true, that's a good place to think you're coming from. If you feel you're coming from a disadvantage, work twice as hard, right? Now, what I would also tell you is that your skill or the domain that you have acquired some non-tech knowledge will be very useful. What is fintech? There is no fintech without finance, without banking, without credit, and without lending. So if you had someone who had that kind of background, you're lucky. If you're someone who had a marketing background and you're coming into tech, you're lucky. If you had a medical background and you're coming into tech, you're lucky because you're now coming to that tech is an enabler. So the fact that you did not do Fortran, they didn't waste your time doing Pascal, you're actually lucky that you have very little to unlearn. You can just start learning and relearning because you see that unlearning that Tiny talked about, it can be very hard. So when they've drilled Fortran 77 and basic and all those kind of things in your head and you want to say I'm a computer science graduate, it might actually be a disadvantage. So anyway, bottom line, work twice as hard, but don't forget the other domain expertise you have, whether it's political science, whether it's history, that may be very valuable even in your tech journey.
Thank you so much for that, Aniedi. That was really, really helpful. So, Sani, the second question, this person asks that I am a full stack developer as well as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and SQL. People are not using PHP and SQL lately. As a web developer, which language do you recommend to be up to date?
I mean, disclaimer, I don't particularly like that word full stack developer. I don't know. I don't like the word, but that's a personal thing. I don't agree that people are not using PHP A lot. I think most of the web is powered by PHP still till today. I think more than half of it is still powered by PHP. Someone's got to maintain that. It's just that the trend is not pointed towards PHP. That's fine. Now, and also it could very be like, maybe I'm assuming this person might be in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a very big PHP country, but globally the demand is not as much. And that normally sometimes is a sign that it's time to learn something new, right? So there are other, so it could be something like you're a great PHP developer. Are you more of a front end? Are you more of a back end? What are you really great at? You might have to go via the Python route, or maybe you want to go via MVC with something like .NET, or maybe a Java, Spring. So you get to decide, or maybe something like Angular and come to the front end. So you get to decide these skills that I have, what am I interested in that maybe looks similar, or something that you research that and you learn, you upskill yourself. But make sure that PHP you've exhausted, like you are somewhere close to the top of that. Remember, it's much easier to jump from the top of one building to the top of another. It's much, much easier to just throw your hook and climb, or maybe the other top is you just jump ahead. So that's how I will see it. Look for where maybe this is your time to navigate towards a new field.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Sunny. So my last question for both of you, we are done, is that one advice only, like what's one advice that's transformed your whole career? One thing that's transformed your whole career.
I'll go first. And also just to piggyback on the answer for Sunny's last question, which is so true. One is like it's a mindset thing, right? Where think of, you learn how to drive a car using a, I don't know, Peugeot 504. That shows you my age, right? When you get into a Tesla, you don't go and learn how to drive all over again. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Things you know about driving still remain the same. So that the controls and the things at your disposal are different. So for the person who's a full stack PHP developer, with all the reservations, Sunny mentioned, you're fine. The point is, are you really a developer? Can you solve problems? Can you break problems down, into loops and think of the data structures and know when to fetch data and consume it and how to separate the layer? If you can do all that genuinely and correctly, whatever language you switch into, it would just be semantics and syntax, right? And then it would also challenge your ability to continue learning. Now, if you have lost the ability to continue learning, that's number one. And if you actually are not really a full stack problem solver, logic developer, then Sonny and I can't help you, right? You have to go and fix that. You would need to tell yourself that this is my full stack PHP developer. I'm actually a full stack PHP developer. So it's not the car you used to learn. Once you've learned how to drive, you learn how to drive. You just need to, even if they put you inside a cyber truck or 911, just that things will be different, but the principles are the same. And leading to my last word, be flexible. Like, be flexible. You have to be hardcore, diligent. There'll be times in your career where you're going to have to put in the work. Like, it's like going up a hill. You do so much work going up. Once you get to the top of that hill, man, the way you will coast maybe for the next 5 or 10 years may shock you. But you see that hill to climb up, bro, sis, you're gonna have to do that work. After that, the paparazzi, they call you for every event and they fly you here and there, and you get this job and it comes. But that first uphill task, put in the work. That may be this 3MTT, that may be the next program you do. That uphill that sort of clears you beyond, just put in the work and make sure you get up to the top of that hill. And after that, remain flexible. Your career would flourish, hopefully, more often than not.
Thank you very much, Aniedi. Sunny, your last words. Not your last words, but your last words.
The main advice I'll give people is one I still live by, which is only those who see the invincible can achieve the impossible. But impossible itself is nothing.
I'm sorry. You sound so philosophical. Please break it down for the audience. Please break it down.
Yeah. I mean, it's really in the phrasing. It's just really, what we consider is undoable is just in our mind, and really when you want to do something, because I hear people, I want to get into tech, but it's difficult. How can I get in the easy part? It's like the hard things are hard because they have the highest reward, and that's where there's growth, right? So why would you run away from growth? It's like I have a messed up, I guess, mindset, you could call it. It's like wherever there's difficulty, there's growth. That's what I want to do. Because I know on the other side of me is the sweated version of me, stronger, tougher, more resilient, with a better prepared. You need to achieve what you want to achieve in life. There's someone you have to become. And that becoming of that person is going to take pain, it's sweat, and it's blood. But you should smile doing it because of the person that you become outside of that, the person that emerges from the hole. So don't be scared of the impossible. Go for it. So what if you fail? You know one less way to fail now. And that's worth something.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much, Sunny. Thank you so much, Aniedi. So, guys, we have come to the end of the program. I hope that you really learned a lot. So, I know I did. I took a lot of notes. So, I want to say thank you to our speakers for their time. Demi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, Sani and Aniedi. I feel as though our viewers would have found everything that you shared today very, very insightful. I could tell you for a fact that I also picked up quite a few gems that you guys dropped today. Thank you very much for that. And thank you very much to our viewers as well. I hope that you have found this whole webinar very, very insightful and very useful. To our guest speakers, if any of our viewers wish to reach out to you following this webinar, what social media platform would you suggest that that'll be best to reach you?
I think mine is Twitter. I'm taking a bit of a social media break, so I'll be less active till the end of the year and probably the first week of January. Trying to unplug, but yeah, Twitter is my poison.
And could you please provide your Twitter handle as well?
Yeah, I think I've dropped it on the chat as well.
Okay, so the Twitter handle will be Aniedi Udo. So that's ANIEDIUDO. Thank you very much, Aniedi. And Sani, I think Sani would be Twitter as well. And Sani's handle is at Sani Yusuf. So that's SANIYUSUF.
Yeah, the Twitter, and I use LinkedIn a lot. LinkedIn is great. If you're here, join LinkedIn. Yes, Twitter and that. You might send me a message. I may not respond to you because I get a lot of them. If you follow me, I probably wouldn't follow you back. I look cooler if I have more followers. So, but jokes aside, hit me up on Twitter. It's easy. And or on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, I'm always open to chatting to people. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And to our audience, please know that if you have any queries or feedback regarding your 3MTT programs, please DM us on our Twitter, which is at 3MTT Support. Thank you very much, everyone, once again for your time. And I hope that everyone catches us next on our next webinar, which is on Friday at 4 p.m., where we will be discussing with our current 3MTT fellows. Thank you so much, everyone, and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.